Hey, you guys. Thank you guys for being here. We didn't get a lot of questions, so if you guys have some questions, go ahead and put them into the comment section. Um, just an FYI, we've postponed, and I'll repeat this at the end. We've postponed Saturday's boot camp, so we postponed that. But those that are coming to the house tour on Sunday, that's still on. And if you're already a part of that, all of our coaching students are. You should have gotten an email by now on where to meet, um, and you'll get some more information as the days move forward. And so,
Mhm.
and if you're not a part of our platinum coaching students coaching program, I'm sorry, and you want to attend the shadow event, the house tour on Sunday, you still can. There's a link. Just let us know. You can DM me, call me. There's a link that we'll send out as well so that you can still make it. I went and scouted one of the properties today in Baltimore, one that we'll meet at. And then we'll go to probably about two more. And then we'll have a networking session in Little Italy, um, uh, in Baltimore.
Okay.
So, Keith, you want to go ahead and ask me the first question?
Yes, yes. Hello, everyone. I hope you guys had a great day and your work week is going wonderful. So, Greg, Karen starts us off with a couple of questions. Karen wants to know, how does an investor calculate their commission using the cap rate?
Oh, that's a good question, Karen. How does an investor calculate their commission? So the cap rate, Karen, has nothing to do with commission. Cap rate is the same thing as basically it's the same thing as the Mayo formula. That's what the cap rate is. Cap rate determines basically how much you're going to buy the house for. So it's basically the Mayo formula. Cap rate is used for multifamily properties, commercial properties. It basically takes the income and divides it all the income that comes into the property, and it divides it by all basically all the revenue. And there's a formula there. So it really has nothing to do with commission, or how much money you make as an investor. As an investor on a commercial property, you get paid a couple ways. Number one, you get a finder's fee. And generally on a finder's fee as an investor, you can get paid up to 3% of the sales price. And so just keep that in mind. You get paid up to 3%. And then you can also be part of the deal and take ownership in the deal up to, let's say that you don't want to put in any money into the deal. You can get paid up to or have ownership up to 5% of the deal, depending on how you structure the deal. And so on a commercial property, let's even say it's like a 100-unit building, you found that. You are going to use the cap rate to determine how much you buy the property for. But in terms of how much you make as an investor, you can charge up to about 3% and then take part in the ownership of the property. Now, if you want to put money in to get even more ownership, you can. And so that's how that's calculated on a commercial property, as opposed to a residential property where we basically take the Mayo formula, and then the difference between what we wholesale it for and what the cash buyer buys it for is about 5%. And so you can base that number on 5%. Commercial is a lot better because you could get paid 2 or 3 different ways and be part of the owning the property. So so another thing, so you get paid 3% up front, and let's say that you take 5% ownership. When dividends are paid out, let's say that the investors are pay themselves every quarter, you'll get paid 5% of the revenue generated. And then when you go to sell the property, let's say in 5 years, whatever you sell the property for, you get about 5% of the sale. Unless, again, if you put more money into the deal. Karen actually had another question, Keith. So Karen, on that Greenbelt condo property, that property that you found, I think you texted me this week and wanted to talk about your commission. And so here's the problem with that. It's not a problem, but since it's a short sale, I don't know what the bank is going to approve. So I can't tell you right now what that number is going to be. I can't remember what we wrote the contract for, but let's say that the bank comes back and their number is much higher than what the sales price is, and me or any other cash buyer decides the bank wants too much and we don't buy the property, then of course, no money is made. But then let's say the bank comes back and we're able to negotiate whatever they come back at. We can and everything is very transparent. Depending on what the bank comes back at on that short sale, you and I will negotiate, or you with any other cash buyer will negotiate, your finder's fee, and maybe it's a percentage of that. But it's too hard to tell. I don't like to give out those numbers to a wholesaler on a short sale, because I've been burned in the past. I've said, okay, I'll give you $15,000 finder's fee or wholesale fee, and we're locked in there. And then the bank comes back and they approve. The short sale approval is $20,000 more than what the contract price is. And so you just never know on these. And so it has been appraised. And so we're just waiting for the appraisal to come back to see what the bank is going to approve. Once we get that letter, that approval letter, now we know what the real numbers are. Because right now we don't know what the real numbers are. Now we know what the real numbers are. And then we can just, you and I can just negotiate from there. If I decide, or any other cash buyer decides to go ahead and move forward. So wholesaling a short sale is not as cut and dry as a non-short sale, because you just don't know what the bank is going to approve. Mm-hmm. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, great. Here, Karen has another question. So will cash buyers in North Carolina require a Mayo formula similar to yours, or is a conversation required to determine how they purchase the property?
Well, I mean, it's both, but the Mayo formula is universal. It's not me or DMV. That's universal. That's nothing that I made up. As a wholesaler, though, if you find a property in North Carolina, you kind of dictate how much you want, and you let them know, and you put it under contract. You can use the formula, but let's say you put the property under contract for $95,000. You could put it out there at $105,000, basically saying that you want $10,000. So you kind of dictate what you want. They don't necessarily even need to know what you have it under contract for until they verbally agree on what they want to buy it for. Then you let them know, and you send them the assignment agreement and the sales contract. So that's how that works. But whether it's North Carolina, DMV, Florida, it doesn't matter. It's all the same dynamics. It has nothing to do with location.
So suffice it to say that for the most part, a reputable cash buyer is going to use the Mayo.
I mean, they're going to use it, but to Karen's point, we use the Mayo kind of in theory, but in practice, oftentimes it's, are you okay with making 15,000? Or are you okay with making 20,000? Or the wholesaler will say, I want to wholesale this for 300,000, knowing that they're under contract for sometimes 250. So it's a negotiation. In practice, it's more of a negotiation than the theory of the formula. But then but we kind of use the formula as a guide to what we should be making. But in most cases, honestly, it's I'll give you 20,000, or I'll give you, whatever, 15,000. That's generally how we do it. Are you okay with making this, or the wholesaler, if they initiate the conversation, the negotiation, they'll say, I want to make this amount. So it's more of a negotiation in practice.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Moving on, Greg, Dana has a question. He wants to know a little bit more or get some clarity on subject 2. How does it work?
And so I don't think Dana's on here. So maybe we should wait until Dana gets on here.
Okay. All right.
Then look, I don't think he's on here yet.
Okay.
We'll give him a few minutes and then I'll answer.
Okay. Greg, Michael Blackman has a question. Michael wants to know, if an investor does not have good credit, are there any sources available, such as a private bank, that might be able to help out?
I would say generally, not in this day and age, not after the recession of 07, 08. Banks and hard money lenders really tightened up after recession of 07, 08. Now with interest rates a lot higher, banks and cash buyers, private lenders, they're really tightening up because of interest rates, and they're a lot less, a lot more conservative. I think your best bet is a private lender, but somebody that you vet the deal, let them vet the deal. And then if you know of a private lender, I had some challenge credit back during the recession. I don't know how many years ago that is now, 15 years, something like that. I went to a hard money lender because 07, 08, the market just dropped. I mean, it was bad. I always tell people my income was cut in half, but it was cut more than in half. At that time in 07, I had about 13 properties, and I had to, just to survive, I sold. None of them went to foreclosure, but I sold most of them. But I went to a hard money lender and said, look, I don't really have any money. I don't have credit. You know what's going on, but I've got, I know how to flip properties. And he knew of me. And he said, okay, it's David Seamus. I'll never forget it. He was a big time hard money lender here, retired, went to Florida. Those of you who are in the federal government, he used to use the money in his thrift savings plan to lend. He had a big TSP, and he used that money and he turned himself into a hard money lender. But anyway, he lent me the money. He vetted the deal. I showed him the deal. And so if you know someone, then yeah, you can talk to them. And then the other thing is, if you have bad credit, you might want to partner with someone that has good credit and get a loan that way and split the funds accordingly. It doesn't have to be 50-50, but you can split the deal, however you want to do it. But you shouldn't let challenge credit get in your way. And then there's owner financing. I'll be honest with you, when we do owner financing, most of the owners don't check your credit. They should, but they don't. So you can do owner financing. You can do subject twos that we'll talk about in a few minutes. No one's checking your credit on a subject to. No one's checking your credit on owner financing. And if you want to buy and hold, you can do a lease option. No one's checking your credit on a lease option. And then on a lease option, one of the first properties that I bought, I did a lease option because I had some challenge. I didn't really have challenge credit. It was just a house that was just too much for me, but I liked it a lot. My first house in Bowie. And so I did a lease option because I knew in 2 years, I could show enough income to be able to afford it. My house in Pine Tree Way in Bowie. And so I did a lease option, and I bet on myself that in 2 years I'd be able to qualify, and I did. And so I refinanced out, paid off the owner, and I had that property for about 15 years and sold it. So you can do lease options. So there's lots of ways that you can do this with challenge credit. And that's what's so good about real estate investing. You can there's lots of different options for you to actually purchase. You just have to read. You just have to read about them, learn how to do them, have the right forms, and then just have the guts to do them. Take action. And then I will guide you through everything that I just talked about. I've experienced, all from lease options to subject twos to owner financing to partnering with other people. Done that a lot. And so if there's a will, there's a way. Ralph has a question. Mm-hmm. He said, does a wholesaler's customer contract lock he or she into purchasing that property if a buyer isn't interested? Absolutely. And so the purchase and sales agreement, you got to pay real close attention to that because you've got some contingencies in that contract. One contingency is a financing contingency, and the other is a home inspection contingency. You have to find a cash buyer within that period of time. You might give yourself 10 days, 2 weeks, but really it's for you to find a cash buyer. If you don't find a cash buyer, let's say you put 2 weeks, then you've got to get out of that contract. If you don't, then yes, you're liable. You can lose your deposit or get sued. And then if your cash buyer reneges, let's say you move forward and you've passed your contingency period, you've moved forward past that 15 days, you have your cash buyer, and then they can't get financing, like you're up a creek. So you got to make sure you get a deposit from them because you're going to have to forfeit your deposit to the seller. So make sure you get a deposit from them. We got another question. Is wholesaling a pre-foreclosure still the same process as wholesaling any other? Absolutely. And so a lot of the properties that we wholesale, we wholesale from motivated. I mean, we buy properties and put properties under contract for motivated sellers or distressed sellers. One that is in pre-foreclosure is a distressed seller. And so, we put those properties under contract and we wholesale them. It's the same process. Now, with pre-foreclosures, though, those are good opportunities if the numbers work to do some of the creative financing that I just talked about. Subject twos, if you could bring that property current, pay them some money, and then take over the payment, and all the numbers still work according to the Mayo formula. Those are the best properties to do subject twos, to do maybe a lease option, but definitely subject to. So you can get financing with pre-foreclosures, but definitely you can wholesale a pre-foreclosure. if the numbers work.
Good questions tonight.
All right. Anything else? Any other questions?
I don't have any other questions on my side except those couple of deals.
Okay. So I'm going to tackle one of them. Both. So there's some questions that were emailed to us that are sort of long questions, I'll say, but I'll get through. Okay. So one of the questions is this really about running the numbers? And so we have we have an ARV of 320,000. And so when we run our numbers to see if it's a good deal or not, we're going to take 70% of the 320. So 70% of the after repair value of 320 and get 224, and minus the repair cost. And in this case, the repair cost is 80,000 to get 144,000. 144,000 is the maximum allowable offer. And so that's easy. That's 70% of the after repair value minus repair costs. So we're in this particular deal, we're at 144 for our Mayo, our maximum allowable offer. The question is, if they were to buy the property at 144 and the rents are, let's just say the rents are 119, are they going to be able to BRRRR this property? Are they going to be able to refinance and get all their money back? That's really the question. And so here's how I would approach this. They're going to get a loan for, let's see, they're going to get a loan for, they're going to buy it for 244. Basically, they're going to get a loan for 300,000. The 244 plus the 80,000. Yeah, the ARV is 320. So, this is Karen's?
This is Jade's.
Okay. Yeah, so the ARV is 320. I'm just going to do the calculation because it's a really good question. And so 320 times 70% minus 80 gives you 224,000. We put on a contract for that. We get a loan for, wait, I'm doing this wrong. Okay. All right. So the Mayo is 144. We put on a contract for 144. We go get a loan for the 144 from a hard money lender, as an example, plus we get a loan for the rehab of 80,000, which gives us 244,000. You guys with me? So we're going to get a loan for 244,000. The question is this a good BRRRR property or not? And I would, because the rents are 1,900. And so I would say that it's probably not a good BRRRR because we're at 244. I'm going to write this down. We're at 224,000 as a loan amount, 244,000. ARV is 320. So let's take the 320. ARV is 320. We're going to multiply that 320 by 70%. And we're going to get 240. Now, I use 70% because the lender is going to get the property appraised. And let's say they get the property appraised and it appraises for the 320,000, they're only going to lend at a minimal of 70% of that. Now, 70% of that is actually the 244,000. The 244,000. And then the other question would be, what is your mortgage payment? What's the mortgage payment on the let me see, ARV is 320 on the 320. No. What is the mortgage payment on the 224? Now, I'm going to guess with the interest rates the way they are. I'm just going to take a wild guess. And so the mortgage payment on the 224, depending on taxes and insurance, is probably somewhere around 1,800. I'm going to guess that. Around 1,800, maybe 1,900. And if the rents are 1,900, then it's not a good deal. You're breaking even. But really, you're losing money every month because you've got to take into account maintenance fees and things like that. And so in this scenario, I don't know who is this, Keith? You know,
Jade Naylor.
Oh, Jade. And so Jade, on this one, this wouldn't be a good BRRRR. This wouldn't be a good rental at all because it looks like you're breaking even on the rents, which is not good. And then with an ARV of 320, with the ARV of 320, then no, it doesn't seem like it's a good deal. The loan would be, yeah, the loan would be the 244. How's she getting 244? The loan should be, I don't know, we may have to talk offline on this one, Jade, because you're saying that you would be buying the property. The maximum allowable offer is 224,000. That's what you would be buying the property for. Now, if you also got received a loan for the repair cost, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. I wish we could have this on screen so everybody could follow us. All right, so the Mayo is 144, Jade. Mayo is 144. So you're buying it for 144 plus the repair cost of 80. So you'd be buying it for 224, like you said. So you'd be buying it for 224. You would have equity in the property, but you wouldn't be cash flowing at all. You wouldn't be cash flowing at all. And again, if we take the 320 times the 70%, the lender will basically break you even. And so if they break you even 70%, so you're just paying off the loan, but you've put in money into this, Jade. You've put in like closing cost money. And so the money that you put in, you're not getting back. So you need to get this a little less than the 70%, because the way the numbers are, only the lender is getting their money back. They're lending you the 224. The bank is refinancing you down to the 224. They're going to take 70% of the 320. Hopefully I'm making sense. Which means the lender is paid back, but the money you put in, you're not paid back. But then the other thing is you're not cash flowing, because with that loan, the numbers are your mortgage payment is going to be around the 1,900. So I don't think that this would be a good BRRRR property.
What would she have to buy it at for it to cash flow?
She would probably need to buy it at at the 224, probably about take 10% off of that. So 224 times 10%, 22, probably around 200,000.
Yeah.
I would say about 200,000. Actually, let's see, the 224. So Jay, let me call you after this call, just to kind of go over the numbers. 140, 224, and then if you have to put down 10%, yeah, you're really at about, I don't know. So here's what I'll say, and I know I've said a lot, but it's a lot to go through. I think the key to this, Jade, the key to this deal is the cash flow. That's the key to the deal. I think the numbers on the other side work close, real close, but they work. But the rents, but there's no cash flow. There's absolutely no cash flow because if you're financing, let's just say somewhere between 224 and 244, your payment's going to be what the rents are. And I would want you to start off at close a minimal of $500 or $600 a month in positive cash flow. That's where you really need to be, around 500, 600. If it's Baltimore, a little more than that, because you can't count on any appreciation in Baltimore. And I don't know if these are Baltimore numbers. These are probably not Baltimore numbers, so it's probably not in Baltimore. But yeah, your cash flow needs to be a lot better.
I believe it is in Baltimore, Greg.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think Jay mentioned that it might be. Yes.
I know she buys in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't. I looked at a property today in Baltimore. ARV was about 225. So there's houses that ARV is 320, but those are generally properties in Baltimore that we stay away from. Even now I generally buy in Baltimore at about the better deals, in my opinion, in Baltimore are you're buying for a little less than 100,000. The last property I bought was 60,000, and ARV was about about 210, and that's sort of a sweet spot all over Baltimore. And these are neighborhoods, these are row houses, these are neighborhoods that are no board ups like Patterson Park. The last one I bought was in Patterson Park, and so no board ups, 3-bedroom, 1 bath, although mine was 4 bedrooms. And so that's sort of a sweet spot where the BRRRR method does work. And these higher priced for Baltimore with the interest rates, and then even mine, these rents are what in Patterson Park, these are what 18, 19 is what Patterson Park rents for 3-bedroom, 1 bath. And we're buying for about, for example, Carissa, who I think I saw on here, she's on the contract for one where they're renting for 1,900, and she's buying hers. I forget what she's for, less than. I think she's buying hers for somewhere around 175, and it's turnkey. It's already renovated, and it's like Patterson Park area. And so she's all in at 175, and this is turnkey. It's already renovated at 175, and the rents are 19. I think they got the Section 8 approval at 19. So this is a little high, Jay, for Baltimore. Jade, if you have any questions, call me after. I think we spent a lot of time with this, but give me a call. I'd be interested to know if you're already under contract. All right, Keith. This other one, I think I would prefer to tackle this one offline.
Yeah, that's Tamika's that Tamika sent to us. You want to check it out offline?
Yeah, it's just a lot. It's probably really simple, but she just wrote a lot. She wrote a lot.
Right.
There's a lot for me to decipher.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she sent this to me. I forgot, but I'll call her. But it's a multifamily property in Southeast that she's trying to buy. And I think she's trying to use some creative financing strategies to purchase this one.
Right.
But it's a lot. It's a lot to decipher.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be talking about different areas of Baltimore, you guys, tomorrow on my podcast. And so I'm going to be going over at noon tomorrow all the best, in my opinion, the best neighborhoods, zip codes to buy in Baltimore, to buy and hold in Baltimore. My opinion, Baltimore is a buy and hold city. And so you can catch me right here on YouTube. And so if you're not subscribing to my YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to it. I think I'll also be on Facebook, on my Facebook. So I will be going over different areas of Baltimore and where you should be investing, where you can find the deals that I just talked about. And so Carissa's asking, are there many multifamily houses in DC? And the answer is, yeah, there's great deals in DC. You just have to find them. Mm-hmm. Now they're going to be a lot more expensive than Baltimore, but at the same time, they appreciate a lot higher. They appreciate a lot higher, higher percentage than Baltimore. All right, you guys. Any other questions that you guys may have?
Greg, why don't you give us just a quick overview of subject 2? I'm not sure if Dana's going to. I've been texting him. I think he thought the meeting was canceled or whatever. But what is the subject 2?
So a subject 2 property is a property that you buy subject to the existing mortgage, meaning the mortgage that's on the house. Somebody asked a question about buying pre-foreclosures. So as an example, let's say you have a pre-foreclosure, you run the house is getting ready to go to foreclosure. They're behind, let's say $20,000, but they've got a ton of equity. And along with that $20,000, along with what they owe on the property, including that $20,000 that they're in arrears, you run the Mayo formula and the numbers work. And so what you approach the seller and say, look, I will buy this property. I will bring the mortgage current. You move out. They may already be out. And then I'll give you, this is an example. I'll give you $5,000 now for signing the agreement, moving out. I'm going to renovate the property, and then I'm going to sell the property. The mortgage is going to stay in your name. I'm going to keep the mortgage current. You show up at settlement, sign the documents, and I'll pay you another $5,000. So instead of you losing your money, losing the property, you'll make $10,000. That's an example. And it could be more. It could be 10 to sign the contract and another 10 to come to settlement, 20,000. And it could be even higher. The numbers just have to work in terms of the Mayo. So you've got to put on top of your numbers. all of your expenses, and then the numbers still have to work. And so we bring that existing mortgage current. I didn't have to go out and get a loan. I'm still working with this mortgage that's on the property. And then I'm going to renovate the property, list the property, sell the property. Sometimes what I'll do, depending on the numbers, is say that you get the first $20,000 of the sale, and I'll get the rest. And so if it sells and there's a profit of 80, they get 20, and I'll get 60. And so that's basically what a subject to is. We keep the existing mortgage on the property, and then somebody asked a question about credit. No one's checking your credit on a subject to, and so that's a good way to invest. Now, on a subject to, you can even hold the property. You can hold the property. And so I've held properties for 2 years doing a subject to, and then either refinanced, paid off that mortgage, or just sold the property in 2 years. So you can do a buy and hold. I don't really recommend doing buy and holds with subject twos because, you know, stuff could go wrong. Liens can get on the property. I would rather get in and out on a subject to, like in and out 90 days. Gary is saying his very first deal was a subject to. Mm-hmm. One of my first deals, my very, very first deal was owner financing. And then much later, when I got in the business, I'm aging myself, but in the late 90s, that's all those guys was doing. Investors, real estate agents, they were doing subject twos because it was a buyer's market and interest rates were high. You guys think interest rates are high now. Back then, interest rates were like, if you got a 10% interest rate, you was doing good. Interest rates were like 12, 13, 14%. And so they were doing a lot of subject twos because of interest rates. And then I remember like everybody rushed to buy houses when interest rates dipped under 10%. Like it was a big deal. Now, wherever the interest rates are now, everyone thinks, well, I need to wait to buy. Shoot, I remember when they got to 6 and 7%, like people were refinancing. It was a refinance market. People refinancing out of their 10% mortgages to get 6 and 7% where we are now. And so, so that's basically what a subject to is. And so, out of all the creative financing strategies, subject to is my favorite. Because I can, if the numbers work, I can keep that mortgage on the property, bring it current, and then negotiate with the seller, renovate that property without having to go out and get a loan, and then flip that property and pay off the seller, whatever we agree to, as long as the numbers work. And then I can refinance that property or just go ahead and flip it. And so Gary's asking a question. Do you think that subject to opportunities are about to increase? Absolutely. And so they generally increase during distressed markets. And so some economists say we're in a recession now. Some say that we're going to slip into a recession. In these types of markets where you're having lots of short sales, pre-foreclosures, foreclosures, as we are, the sellers want to negotiate. There's more negotiating power that you have, and so there's more opportunity. Even the one that mentioned about the pre-foreclosure, wholesaling and pre-foreclosure, that property that they may be talking about is probably a good subject too. So instead of wholesaling that, which you can, but instead of wholesaling that, you can actually, if the numbers work, if they've been in a property for a while, you probably have a lot of equity, and you can easily do a subject to on that. And so learn about it. I've given numerous classes on subject to. You could probably go to my YouTube channel. Wealth Building with Gregory Bennett, and one of the videos, if not two of the videos, is on subject two. Just kind of scroll through, but on not subject to, but well, subject to, but creative financing strategies. And so, and I go over different scenarios, all of which I give real live case studies of properties that I've bought. And I think I give like 5 different creative financing strategies.
Yeah, I think it was a couple of lunch and learns ago. You spoke on creative financing.
So Tamika's asking a good question. How do you handle the deed with the subject to and seller financing? How do you handle the deed? And so you can, I don't generally touch the deed, although you can. I'll just put a lien on the property. And so on our I just take the contract and just put a lien on the property. And then once we sell the property, I just release the lien on the property. And I'll tell the seller that that's what I'm going to do. I'll take the contract and just put a lien on the property. So that's how I handle the deed. I don't touch the deed. The reason I don't touch the deed is because the lender can call the loan. Meaning they can make the loan due and payable. And so I don't, if they're alerted, they can do it. They never do, but they can call the loan. So I never touch it. And so the question is, do you file the contract? Yeah, we file the contract, meaning we put a lien on the property using the contract. Yep, that's how you do it on the subject to. And you do that for security, to make sure that they don't sell the house up from under you, because it is a risky proposition. And so you want to make sure that, let's say you give them $10,000 or $15,000 up front, you want to make sure that they don't go somewhere else and sell that property to anybody else. So you've got to put a lien on that property. And so so Gary's asking, have I ever seen a loan called? No, never. And I never will. And the reason I never will see it, and you'll never see it, is because as much as a lender could call the loan, why would they? As long as you're making mortgage payments, a lender will never, ever call the loan. I mean, it's in the deed, it states that they can call the loan if, ownership has changed or, for different reasons, but they never do. Lenders are not in the business of foreclosing, calling loans. They're in the business of lending money. And so because of that, they will never, ever call a loan. I'll say that, but I've never seen it. Can you just file a memorandum of the contract so your contract is not public? You could do that, but you want to make sure that you have that a lien on the property. You got to have a lien. You got to protect yourself. You want to make sure that, like I said before, that they don't sell the house up from under you. The only way that you're going to save yourself is put a lien on the property. So that's how that's done on the subject too. Anything else, you guys? Any other questions? Keith, you have any other questions?
Nothing else on my end, but we had some really good questions tonight.
All right. So look again, you guys. We postponed Saturday's event, the boot camp, to July the 8th. We're continuing to do the Sunday event, the shadow event in Baltimore. So those of you who signed up for the boot camp and the shadow, you should have already been contacted, but we're going to do the shadow event Sunday. Those of you who want to come to the shadow event, there's still time. We definitely still have time. So just contact me, contact Keith. We will be sending out a link to sign up for it. You'll meet us in Baltimore at one of the properties. We'll go to 2 other properties, so 3 properties. We'll look at these properties. We'll go over repair costs. We'll make sure, and most of the properties that we're going to look at are real live deals that you can buy. We'll go over Mayo formula. You'll be able to ask questions. Hopefully the weather will be good. I think it is. And then we'll end the morning or the afternoon at a restaurant in Little Italy, Italian restaurant, where we'll do some networking, ask more, I'll answer more questions. We'll network with each other, and it'll be a good morning, you guys. Yeah. It'll be a good morning. Mm-hmm. Good morning and afternoon. Good way to start Saturday. Let's see. Does the creative financing training cover? No. So I don't think I talk about how to file the contract, but I'm happy to discuss that with you offline. Can you speak about reverse mortgages? Reverse mortgages really confuse people. So I don't really like talking about reverse mortgages. I personally just look at a reverse mortgage as the mortgage. Like the seller owes $300,000, whether it's a regular mortgage or a reverse mortgage. For me, it doesn't matter. It's just a mortgage that needs to be paid off, or it's a mortgage that I've got to. When I do run my numbers, it's just a mortgage, and so people get caught up with the words reverse mortgage, but for me, it's just a debt that there's a lien on the property. And so don't get too hung up on reverse mortgages. It's just a regular old mortgage that just needs to be paid off. Whether you're flipping the property, whether you're trying to determine whether it's a short sale or not, just look at it as a mortgage. It's a debt on the property. That's it. There's nothing else. There's nothing else. I mean, the details of a reverse mortgage. I mean, most of us know what a reverse mortgage is. One gets a reverse mortgage. If they have a lot of equity, the bank will give them a lump sum of money, and then they don't have to make another mortgage payment. A lot of them do foreclose or become short sales, and so that's it on reverse mortgage. I don't like spending a lot of time because people get too confused. It's just it's a mortgage on the property. Just look at it that way. All right, I think that's it, Keith.
Okay.
If you guys have any other questions, you know how to get a hold of me. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I will be on this YouTube channel tomorrow talking about areas in Baltimore. I'm going to try to get at least one of our investors, maybe Marquise or someone like that, who do a lot of investing in Baltimore, to help me talk about areas. And hopefully we see you guys at the shadow event, the house tour on Sunday. All right, you guys, take care. God bless. Great questions. We'll talk to you guys soon. Good night.
Good night, guys. Take care.